Hey you guys, we want to work on concept 8 now, which talks about different types of rounding that calculators use, and we're going to show you some new math symbols that we have. Well, this lesson deals with calculators and the type of rounding or truncating that they do. Alright, let's get started. We'll start with review. A couple of terms that we've already had is repeating decimals and terminating decimals. You know this, that a repeating decimal is going to be a decimal that is going to repeat the same numbers over and over again. So if I have 4.4545, another way to write that is going to be 4 and 45 hundredths with the repeating bar above the 40 and the 4 and the 5. Terminating decimals, remember we talked about Arnold Schwarzenegger, how he terminates people. Well, it stops. A terminating decimal stops. So if I have 4.4, that's a terminating decimal. They're going to keep on going. And up here I forgot to put the ... to show you that it is going to keep on going. Alright, there's a couple types of rounding too that we want to look at. The first type of rounding is just what you've learned in previous grades, rounding to the nearest tenth. So what we want to do is we want to look at the number in the tenths, and then we want to be able to look at the number just to the right to see is it 5 or greater. And in this case it is. So that is going to bump the 4 up to a 5. So if I was going to round this to the tenths, I'll have 44.5 because that 5 is going to bump the 4 up. The next one, if I have 44.453 and I want to round it to hundredths, so I'm at the hundredths and I need to look at the number just to the right of that. Now that's less than 5. So then I just truncate or just leave off all those numbers. So I'm just going to go 4, 5 and then just leave it alone. Now there's one more. There's truncating. And truncate means you just cut off. It's very easy. So if I was going to truncate this number to the 10th, that means I'm going to cut off all the numbers past the tenths. So it'd just be 44.4. Pretty easy. And if I want to truncate it to the hundredths, I cut off everything past the hundredths. And so that would be 44.45. So there's two types of rounding that we're going to look at with calculators. Let's jump into our lesson now. What happens when I change 2/3 to a decimal on a calculator? Well, answer depends on the calculator you're going to use. They're not all the same. So I got a calculator here that I want to punch in. I'm going to punch in 2/3 here and see what this does. And then I just get 0.6666, which a lot of you have memorized. 6 repeating. So this calculator just keeps on going, but it's going to truncate the last digit. I think there's 12 or 13 digits here, and it's just going to cut off everything else and just drop it. Whereas if I have a scientific calculator that took a screenshot here, this has a bunch of 6's and a 7. Well, this calculator rounded the 2/3 as a decimal. And so you got to understand the difference between these. These are usually pretty cheap calculators. $1 the bank gives you it for free. And then scientific calculators right here are usually going to round the numbers up. So let's look at one more. What happens when I take 59 over 99 and I convert that to a decimal? Well, let's check. Is it going to truncate it? Let's see here. Divide by 99. And I got 59595. Yep, 595 should be a 9, but it cuts it off, so it truncates. So this cheap calculator, the cheapo, is going to truncate it. Slide this one out of the way here. Whereas I have a scientific calculator, it's going to go 59595959 6. because that last number, the 9, rounds the 5 up. So you got to remember that some calculators are going to round and some are going to truncate. Alright, let's look at one more thing here. After dividing two integers, this is what comes on my calculator. I get 4, 5, 4, 5, repeating 4, 5, but I get 2 5s in the last digit. So the question is, how would I write this using a repeating bar? Well, that would be easy because you know what's being repeated. It's 4, 5. But what about this last 5? Well, this is a scientific calculator, and it rounds the 4 up to a 5. But it's still 45 hundredths